He has 41 ministers from his first term have lost their jobs in this second term as he trims his government, scraps the deputy regional ministerial positions and abolishes position of senior minister. We are getting reactions already from some of the nominees, including new faces. You've already heard from Lands and Natural Resources Minister Designate Abu Jinapo. More here on Newsnight. Also tonight, 2020 NDC presidential candidate John Mahama warns hearing of election petition put on hold as he insists any proceedings while his review of the interrogatory's ruling remains outstanding will result in irreparable harm to his case.
We have filed an application for review of a ruling that you delivered yesterday. There are consequences to that. We also have outstanding requests to admit facts, which are due within 3 days from when they were served on the other party. There are a number of outstanding issues which have not been discussed.
We have details on why the former president wants his own petition to be put on hold. Also tonight, we'll take you on a tour of the Ga East Hospital, where it is emerging that more patients are reporting to the facility with a new strain of coronavirus while in critical condition.
The severity of the illness has increased compared to what we were seeing last year, and this can't be due to chance.
You'll hear the shocking account of how people are struggling to hold on to their life as coronavirus sucks out the life out of them. Stay with us.
And in the business, economist Professor Peter Kote describes downsizing of ministers and ministers of state as a plus and a cost-saving measure for the economy.
Re-elected Galka chairman Kujo Fiano wants to solve challenges faced by the association in the next 4 years. Details later in sports.
You want to stay with us for that and more here on Newsnight. I want to hear from you. Give me your reactions to the breaking news story tonight. 055 1111 997. My name is Evans Mensah. I want to return to that breaking news story tonight. The president has now sent a full list of ministerial nominees to Parliament, a total of 46 ministers in all, with some new faces making their first showing before the Appointments Committee in the next few days. I want to start with the new faces, LT, Ernest, shortly. I want to bring in one of the new faces shortly, who is joining us right now. He used to be the deputy, former deputy chief of staff in the president's first term. He is now been nominated to occupy the
Works and
Housing ministerial portfolio. Mr. Sensobachi, thank you for your time here on Newsnight.
Thanks for having me.
I guess congratulations are in order.
Thank you very much.
This is in every estimation a significant elevation from a deputy chief of staff position. Would you say? Would you agree with that assessment?
Yes, I think the next step in terms of my role, I can say that it's an elevation. The president has said that this step is going to focus on mass housing and is being made responsibility. I think it's a huge responsibility, and I can say that I feel a high sense of responsibility to be in this role.
Forgive us, we're having a challenge with the line. We'll call you on another line shortly so we can have a clearer conversation, which is very excited to hear what his thoughts are, what the president's charge was to him, because they spoke to the president individually, one-on-one, and they were given that news. He is one of the new faces and going to the Works and Housing Ministry.
And
now,
the
that
statement
Yes.
was issued ahead of the full
Yes, the
release
president
of
gave
the
us a
list.
sense of what this
He
is.
gave us a sense of what he would want the Works and Housing Ministry to do in this second term. And so I'll read verbatim from that statement, which was issued by Eugene Ayin.
Okay, hold on for me. We have him back on the line. Yes, Mr. Sensoboachi, thank you for staying on. We can have a clearer conversation with you now. You were giving us a sense of what your own reading is into this. For many, this is a significant promotion, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it's in order to call it a promotion from a deputy chief of staff to a substantive sector minister. Yeah, it's in order to call it a promotion. I thank the president for the opportunity given me.
The president tells us in a statement that he met you and broke the news to you in person. What charge did he give you?
Well, he said that he wants to focus on or prioritize social and mass housing. And I think this is a huge task. So I say shortly that I'm full with high sense of responsibility to be given such an important role to play in his government. And I pray to God that he guides me to be able to perform this important role.
And indeed, it is important. I mean, the challenges in that sector, the works and housing sector, is pretty daunting. I used the word for your other colleague earlier. Do you feel that sense of burden on your shoulders now that you're going to occupy that position?
Well, it's a huge responsibility, and I like I said, I pray for God that he guides me and gives me the favor to carry on my task.
I mean, I wonder if you've already begun to think about this and what your own aspirations are for this particular sector.
Evans, I think thanking the president at the time also let me know that I'm full of the responsibility at this time. You have a great chat with the president.
You looking forward to the vetting?
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure that your colleagues in Parliament are already giving an indication of how either exciting or grueling it might be.
Well, nobody has spoken to me so far. I mean, I was in my office when the call came. The news had just got out, so nobody has spoken to me. But I'm sure those are the vetting have started what questions they will have for us.
Okay. And all the best, Mr. Sensobachi.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
So that's another of the new faces, Ernest. He is the Minister Designate for Works and Housing. I was going to make the point just before you give us a sense of the president's overall objective for this sector.
Yeah.
Is that this is a portfolio that was occupied, was held by Samuel Atachia, a stalwart of the party. And he's one of those who've lost his job in terms of the president's second term and has been replaced by a Sensobachi.
That's very interesting.
It is.
Very interesting.
It is.
But he won his seat. He's in Parliament.
He is in Parliament, but he's lost his job. I mean, you wonder what went into the president's own thinking about some of the ministers who are not returning, and the new ones that have come in. But the president has a setting agenda for the Works and Housing Ministry. What is it?
And so the statement says that a Minister of State has been nominated. And so you realize that Sensoboachi has been nominated to the Ministry of Works and Housing, but then Frida Prempeh has been nominated as a Minister of State in charge of Works and Housing. And so Sensoboachi is going to work somewhat with Frida Prempeh to execute this agenda.
Now, the reason why that is interesting but also important is he comes in, as Sensoboachi, substantive minister, comes into the job with no experience, so to speak, in that particular role. But Frida was a deputy.
She was once
deputy. She was a deputy once.
Yeah.
And so would come to the job ready to sort of play. I mean, and work some experience in there. And so that compliment definitely will help him because of Frida's previous experience in that particular position. But the president gave a further details.
The president says, if approved, will be assigned to the Ministry of Works and Housing in addition to the substantive minister to give special focus to the critical issue of affordable, mass housing envisaged as one of the priorities of the president's second term.
Okay, so that's
So that is clear cut.
and he also confirms it that indeed when he met the president one-on-one, that was a charge
That was
that
a
they want to
charge.
focus on social housing. To be fair, I mean, when we're doing
Manifesto tracker.
manifesto tracker, I mean,
I remember the interview with Atacha.
exactly one of the most explosive shows we had. It was clear Atacha himself admits on that show that he done very little. Very, very little in the last 4 years in that area of affordable housing and social housing. I remember him blaming it in essence on COVID and the expenditure on the banking restructuring, etc. And so they didn't have enough money to sort of pump into it. And he was hopeful that in the president's next term, they were going to do a lot more in that area. Unfortunately, as we're learning tonight, he's not going to superintend over that. Again, so we've talked about two new faces so far. We've talked about Senso, we've talked about Abu Jinapo. Senso for Works and Housing, Abu Jinapo for
the Lands and
who else
Natural
is new?
Resources Ministry. There's also Mustafa Yusuf, who is now heading to the Sports Ministry, and he has kicked out, or let me say that Isiama has been kicked out, and so Mustafa Yusuf now occupies the position of Youth and Sports. And it will be very interesting to find out what charge has been given or what went into the decision to replace him with a former minister who performed in that role.
We'll come to more. I'm also very interested in the Attorney General position.
Godfrey Dame, that's very key.
In there. Thankfully, we can also bring in another minister. He used to be a deputy, now substantive. Greater Accra Regional Minister Designate, Mr. Henry Quarty. Mr. Quarty, thank you for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, and a very good evening to your cherished listeners.
A deputy minister for Interior, now substantive for Greater Accra. Congratulations to you. You might see this as an elevation, is it?
Well, indeed it is. First of all, just for the records, I was a deputy minister for the Interior and then subsequently the Ministry of National Security. It is an elevation indeed, but we have to thank the good people of this country, of course, Mr. President, for once again reposing the trust and confidence in me to serve in his second term and his administration. And of course, not leaving the constituents of Ayawaso Central, who also voted for me to represent their diverse interests in the parliament.
This is, of course, this is a capital, of course, and it's interesting because you say your role in the past had been related to security. You're also going to be the chair of the Regional Security Council. And I guess your previous positions will serve you well in that position also.
We pray to God.
What was the charge the president gave you for Greater Accra, by the way? I'm wondering, for the people you're coming to serve in Greater Accra, what is it that the president expects you to achieve for them in the next 4 years?
Oh, well, I think it is too early for that. First of all, we thank the president, as I said, for reposing the confidence in me once again to serve in his administration. And then also we have to wait to go through the vetting process. All I can say is that collectively, let us get Accra to work again.
Okay, I mean that is pretty loaded. You want to break it down a bit? What do you mean? What do you want to see?
When I say collectively, it involves the media. You have to help. We have to do all manner of things to get Accra to work again. And by the grace of God, Accra will work again.
And you're looking forward to the vetting? I mean, this is something you faced before in your deputy ministerial position. It shouldn't daunt you, should it?
No, not at all. No, I mean, yeah.
Accra has a lot of challenges, and you are an MP in a Greater Accra constituency. What for you are some of the key ones that you'll be very interested in to tackle head on?
Oh well, that is why I said it's a collective effort. We need a very, if you like, a media to be very circumspect in their reportage. We need the MMDCs to also come up to the task. and ensure that sanitation becomes a priority, a discipline, all manner of things we have to look at. And that's why I say Accra has to work again. You remember that this is the capital city of the country, and we have to ensure that that image is regained.
I'm grateful that you could speak to us, and all the best in this next 4 years, and your, of course, appearance before the Appointments Committee.
I thank you very much.
And that is Mr. Henry Quarter. He is a Greater Accra Regional Minister designate. There are 15 other designates for the regions. I should have put this to him, but we'll get another reaction very shortly, because we are learning tonight that he, Mr. Henry Quarter, will not have a deputy. The president had been clear in the statement issued earlier today
that all the regional ministers will have no deputies.
Would have no deputies. But let's run through them.
And so you have Ahafo. The minister designate for Ahafo is George Boache. For the Ashanti region, Simon Mensah has been retained as the regional minister for Ashanti. Bono has Justina Owusu Boahin. Bono East, Edu Jan. And these are new regions. The central region, and Evans, that is very interesting. Governor Duncan is out. And
Duncan has lost his job.
He's lost his job, and that's very interesting. You have Justina Marigold Asan been appointed to the position of Central Regional Minister. The Eastern region, Darfur has also lost his job.
Oh, Seth Champon.
And Seth Champon now goes there as the Eastern Regional Minister.
Seth Champon, who used to be the chair of the Defense and Interior Committee.
Yeah.
Fine gentleman.
Fine gentleman. Greater Accra, you have Henry Quarter, we just spoke to him. The Northern region also has a new face, Shani Al-Hassan Saibu. Northeast, Yidana Zakaria. When you go to the T region, there's Joseph Makubu. The Savannah region, Said Muhazu Jibril. The Upper East has Stephen Yakubu. Upper West, Dr. Hafiz Ben Sali. And he has been retained. He used to be the minister in the previous government. Volta region, Dr. Archibald Lecha, he's also been retained. The Western region has Honorable Kwabena Oche Dako Mensah, he MP for the area. MP for the region, he's in the region as well. And then Western North has a new face, Richard Obeng. And Evans, you see that there's a departure from what used to be the appointment of regional executives into the regional ministerial positions. And so you see that all of these positions have fairly new faces. So people, the likes of Kwabena Duncan, out. You know, the former Greater Accra regional minister, who used to be the regional minister for the NPP, also out.
Yeah,
and so it's quite a new system.
Yeah, of course, and the president has also indicated that he's departing from what used to be the case, where these regional ministers had deputies. And so all these ministers will operate alone.
And this is something civil society had pushed for.
In fact, there are some actually who had gone as far as saying we don't need regional ministers.
Because when you go to the regions, there are regional coordinating councils, and so these coordinating councils have coordinators and other structures who really assist the ministers to do their work. And so for many people in civil society, the deputy regional ministerial position was needless. Again, a lot of the time they coordinate with the assemblies who are already under the local government ministry, and so for many of them there isn't much to be done, and so you wouldn't need a deputy regional minister for anything, Evans.
And so if you're just joining us, the president has sent his full list of ministerial nominees to Parliament. A total of 46 ministers, including the regional ministers who will not have deputies, have been submitted. For the substantive ministerial portfolios, there are 30 ministers in all, and then there are 16 regional ministers. They are also being talking about. The president largely stays with the names he is used to in his first term, largely maintains a lot of them in the key ministerial positions that they were in, but also brings in just a few new faces. One of the key new faces is the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfrey Dame, who was a deputy, who has risen, and we can now speak to one of the new faces joining the list now, a substantive regional minister, Mr. Seth Champong. Hi, Mr. Champong. Thank you for joining us here on Newsnight, and congratulations for this nomination. Are you excited about the prospects of holding on to a substantive ministerial position?
Certainly, I must be grateful to God first and foremost. His Excellency the President for having confidence in me to add as a subordinate in taking care of the regional health.
Forgive me, Mrs. Champo. We have to call you on another line. We're struggling to hear you. We'll definitely bring him back. Unfortunately, the challenges we're having with the line. But Mrs. Champo used to be the chair of the Defence and Interior Committee in Parliament. We'll bring him back shortly. On this, but here's the thing. We're talking about the new faces. He's one of the new faces, coming in.
He lost his seat, by the way. He lost at the primary level. And so he didn't contest even at the parliamentary elections in December. And so it's interesting that he's been appointed, because the indication we got was that for almost everybody who lost the seat, you would not be considered readily for a substantive ministerial position. And so it's interesting that he has been considered and now goes to the Eastern region as the regional minister.
Yeah, I mean, he did lose his seat, and I remember speaking to him about it on PM Express, and of course he was pretty magnanimous even in defeat. We'll get him back, hopefully on a better line, and then we're talking about the Attorney General's position. Godfred Dame, many had already said this will happen, and because again, if you see many of the key cases that went to court, he had his signature all over it. And so many thought it was a no-brainer. And then, of course, Education Ministry. Education Ministry is where Educhum is.
Educhum, yeah.
And Educhum has now received that promotion. For many, even in President Akufo-Addo's first term,
they were looking forward to his elevation.
Many were looking forward to some reshuffle of a sort that will elevate him to that position. And he gets it now. And I guess there were many who applaud the president for doing just that. Who else? Which other new faces do we have?
So you mentioned that we have Godfred Dame, we have Mustafa Yusuf again. It will be interesting to hear what Hans would have to say about
when the sports team
joins us. So those are fairly new faces in that list. When you go through, you'd find a few more faces. And Evans, so for instance, when you go to, and a lot of the regional positions, I must say, the regional ministerial positions are held by new faces.
Yeah, I mean, there've been some movements too. So for example, you have the John Peter Mewu, who used to be the energy minister, moved now to the Railways Development Ministry.
And Joe Gate is one of those who have lost their jobs in this administration.
We know Joe Gate did an interview shortly, I think in December, widely circulated, saying that he was interested
in the presidential ticket of the NPP.
Absolutely. And so if that's the case, I guess he played his hand, and there possibly may have been a contributory factor there. But John Peter Mewu occupies Railways Development now, dropping from Energy Ministry. His position in the Energy Ministry is going to be occupied by Matthew Opoku Pempe, who used to be the Education Minister. So there have been some... that is one of those movements, few of the movements you've seen. The thing about it I notice is, if you used to occupy a position in the past and your name doesn't come up, you lose your job completely. The president doesn't reshuffle you and move you anywhere. Peter Mewu appears to me, and I mean, as we begin to digest this, this just came as we on air. But as I look at it now, it appears to me in the list of 46, he's the only person who has lost his original portfolio, but then reassigned to some other portfolio. Because if you look at it, Haji Alima Mahama, moved from local government out completely. Environment Minister, Professor Frimpong Boateng out completely.
Professor Jan Bafo is also
out completely. Atachia, Housing Minister, out completely. So a lot of names that have been simply been removed.
And
from
Evans,
the
we may
list.
want to talk about how some of those ministries like Inner City and all of that have been realigned.
Let's go to that, because the key question to ask is, What happens to the several other ministries that used to be there that are no longer there? What happens to them?
So the statement released by Eugene Ahin gives us an indication, and the president essentially says that many of these ministries have achieved the purpose for which they have been set up, and so part of their jobs or part of what they used to do will now move to other ministries. And so if you read from this paragraph, it says that 7 ministries, namely aviation, business development, inner city and Zongo development, monitoring and evaluation, planning, regional reorganization and development, and special development initiative, have been realigned. The president has effected this realignment because virtually all these special purpose ministries have achieved their purposes for which they were established. The office of the senior minister has also been abolished, and the senior minister is out. Quite significant. This will result in a total of 28 ministries, down from 36 of the first term. Furthermore, the president intends to appoint a minister of public enterprises, and that was the new portfolio, Mr. Kujo occupying that position now, who will be operating directly under the armpit of the president and not from a ministry. So he is a minister of state who operates from the presidency, who will not have a fully fledged ministry, so to speak. Now, the minister will oversee a major restructuring of the entire state-owned enterprises sector to improve the productivity and profitability of this sector. And this is curious because we know that SIGA, which was headed by Samuel Boateng, doing a similar job. And so I'm wondering how the coordination is going to be done and exactly what this minister will be doing aside the job of Asamoah Boateng.
Okay, I want to go back to the phone lines now. Mr. Seth Champon, who is the Eastern Regional Minister designate, it's back on the line with us, hopefully on a better connection. Mr. Seth Champon, you were telling us you're giving us your initial reactions to this nomination.
My first and foremost thanks goes to God on this, and to thank the president for having the company as a subordinate who assist him in responsibilities in the interview.
And the Eastern region, that's where your constituency used to be, right?
Yes.
So this is a place you fairly know.
That is what I know. That is my past year. That's my home.
And so tell me, what's your ambition now for the Eastern region? Because I guess because you've lived there, you've played there, you were raised there, you know what the challenges are. What for you will be the key priorities now going forward?
We not be there, most importantly, I have had to serve. Fortunately for me, my parents, the Honorable quite before, who exactly did his best, and I'm sure will be a good guide for me. Will offer me the necessary information that will enable us, because mind you, the same party in the same administration, and we need to do what is necessary for the people. It's really very important. As one of the most cosmopolitan regions in Ghana, and so it requires proper mediation, proper consultation to be able to make a successful stewardship in this region, and that's what we pray to God for energy and strength to be with us.
And there's something the president is approaching your ministry. It's in the way that we're not used to. For the first time in a long while, you will not have a deputy minister. Your reaction to that?
I'm sure the responsibility for all of us to assist the president to be the constitution that equivalent in the president. So we have to follow through the vision. So what he wants us to do is what we do.
Well, all the best, sir, as you come before the appointments committee to be vetted.
Very, very grateful for the opportunity as well. Have a good evening.
Mr. Seth Champon, the Minister Designate for the Eastern Region, still listening to Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM, still ahead here on Newsnight. Doctors at East Hospital review more COVID-19 patients are reporting at health centers in critical condition, showing new strain of the virus. We have details of that for you. Plus, we'll tell you why former President John Mahama is asking the Supreme Court to put his petition on hold. Details of that on Newsnight right after business. Hello, George is joining us with details from the world of business. George, the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, is, if he clears parliament, is going to be maintained.
Yeah. For some, maybe more of continuity. It depends on who you engage. There are some who also were not happy with him. They thought that he should be reached out for. There are some who also believe that he's done quite well and he should be maintained. And it's more of continuity in terms of programs and plans and what you look ahead to. But having a chat with him a while ago, just before coming on air, he thanked the president for that confidence imposed him, and he's looking ahead to the challenge that will come in terms of the ministry and the industry as well, and is poised to do his best, actually.
What else do you have in the headlines, George?
Well, Evans, we'll bring in the thought of Professor Peter Korte, who is describing the downsizing of the ministerial list as a good move and a cost-saving measure for the economy. We'll also be hearing for the Ghana Employers Association, that is actually charging its members to be aggressive on a flexible work arrangement and reduce fiscal meeting following the spike in COVID-19 cases. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business, Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your offers, essentials, and Allianz Insurance.
3, 4.
Oh, don't worry, Grandpa. There are still 5 ripe and 15 unripe mangoes on the tree.
That's my boy.
Oh.
Grandpa, it's still 1.2 kilograms of rice in the container.
My boy. And how much credit did I spend last week?
Well, you spent 5 CDs on calls, 2 megabytes on data, and you sent 5 SMSs.
We are the first network that tells you exactly what you have spent and when you spent it. Dial *156# to access your statement on MTN. We are good together. We day for you everywhere you go.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Committee 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Our 130-year journey at Allianz has seen our operations growing to cover over 92 million Allianz customers in over 70 countries worldwide. Allianz Life Insurance Ghana, a subsidiary of Allianz Group, has put together a wide range of insurance packages to suit the pockets of every Ghanaian individual, family, group, corporate body, as well as their employees. Kindly call us on 030-2267-892 or 059-144-9686 or visit our website www.allianz-gh.com for more enquiries. Allianz Life, we secure your future.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight, and we're getting you details in terms of the business news. And Economist Professor Peter Kote has described the downsizing of ministers and the ministers of state as good for the economy. The president has announced a new ministerial list down from the over 100 to 85. Professor Kote says this could come with some cost savings for the economy.
Yes, although we are told some of the ministers who are parliamentarians are not actually drawing much in terms of extra salary or income, the running cost itself, running some of these ministries will certainly add cost, and therefore, if we reduce the number of ministers, that should be fine. That will certainly have an impact on government expenditure. It would also show to Ghanaians that yes, this is a government that is committed to ensuring prudency. There's a government that is listening. There's a government that feels the pain of the people. There's a government that is willing to listen and also implement policies and programs that will alleviate poverty, that would help people resonate with a vision of ensuring Ghana beyond aid.
And that is economist Professor Peter Kote. Well, in terms of that new ministerial list nominated for Parliament to consider, you have Ken Ofori-Atta as Minister nominate for Finance. Alain Chimanting is going to Trade and Industry, as Lowusu Ekufu is now the Minister of Communications and Digitization. And those are the ministries that might be of interest to the business community. We also have Food and Agric, actually, and Dr. That is Efia Koto is going to be the minister designate for that ministry. Transport will be Kweku Owusu Esiama will be the minister for that sector, and then fisheries and agriculture will be Honorable Mavis Hawakumsin. Actually, she will be the minister designate. Railways will have the Honorable Peter Amewu, who will be the minister designate for railway in that sector. Tourism will be Awal Mohammed, and these are the names that the president has penned down for consideration in terms of the Parliament should look at it. Now, President Akufo-Addo might have begun a second term in office already after he was sworn in by the Chief Justice on January 7. But what are the real challenges ahead for him when you look at his 100 days in government? David Ofosu-Dorotey is a business strategist and a lawyer.
The first 100 days will be buoyed by three key things. One is COVID related because schools are reopening, and what is the potential that it may lead to an increase in terms of a spike in the cases. So if the schools don't manage the social distances very well, and we get a cases spike, then it will have an impact on the health facilities, and that's one of the things definitely he will be confronted with in the first 100 days. But I think so far the management has been good, and if we get this right, then hopefully the country should be fine. Mm-hmm. The other one is budget constraints. Mm-hmm. The third one will flow out of the politics, and as you know, I try to avoid the politics of things. I look at the business side of politics and not the politics. But the politics part will be tight parliament and all attempts by both parties to become majority or minority. The other one will definitely be the Supreme Court case, which challenges his election, and there's a call for a rerun. So after inauguration, you still have to confront with these things, and in the midst of it, he nevertheless still have to deal with the first 100 days and implement his program. So it's a question of watching things closely.
That is a business strategist and lawyer at ABN David. That is David Ofosu-Dorotey. Now, the Ghana Employers Association has charged its members to aggressively pursue a flexible work arrangement and reduce fiscal meeting. Now, this is part of several measures that they have proposed to help check the spread of COVID-19 at the workplace. Now, it's coming on the back of spike in active cases and death as well because of the new strain in the system. Alex Fimpong is the chief executive of the Ghana Employers Association.
The association has always maintained that efforts must be made in concert with government and other stakeholders to primarily eradicate the pandemic from the country. Otherwise, no matter what measures you put in place, if the pandemic is still spreading in the country, we are likely to have many difficulties. So, against this background, GA has always maintained that businesses must try as much as possible, difficult as it may be, to make sure that we work within these measures. Because if that is not done, employees may not be in the position to come to work. Second, your goods and services may not even be patronized. And third, the economic woes of the organization will deepen to the extent that if you are not careful, the business will collapse. But even though it will be expensive, we believe that businesses, as part of their health and social responsibility, should be able to put these measures in place to at least stem the tide. Otherwise, we will not even have a country to live in if the pandemic more or less sweep everything aside.
Alex Frimpong is the chief executive of the Ghana Employers Association and Evans. That's all for business. But tonight on PM Express, you're looking at the spike in COVID-19 cases, Evans, the impact on economic and business recovery. Just when the economy was turning around, we're seeing active cases. I'll be engaging Professor Eric Osses today. He's an economist. Dr. Justice Yankson, General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. Also, Mr. Sandio Sajiman. He's a businessman. And Alex Frimpong himself is the Chief Executive of the Ghana Employees Association at 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel. How are we managing the cases at the workplace and how will it affect business recovery? All these and more on the Joy News channel, 9 p.m. That is PM Express Business Edition events.
Very important questions there to be explored on PM Express later tonight. George, thank you very much. A few of your messages on our WhatsApp console now. Evans, I tell you what, 127 ministers who really didn't perform well according to how Ghanaians voted, and now reduced to 46 ministers in all. You think this diminished number will perform better? He says a big no to that. Benji in Akropon says it is clear that the president has learnt many lessons in the first term and has seen that some ministries were of no use except for appointees to get paid for no job done. Maxwell in Talensi, congratulations to all ministers designate, most especially Abu Janapo and Stephen Yakubu, our Upper East Regional designate. Wish them all the hope. Then he says, please, the constitution requires the president to appoint about 50% of the ministers from among the MPs, but it appears the appointments so far are more than the 50% of the... That's not exactly what the president, the constitution says. The president has to appoint... the 50% doesn't necessarily mean that he cannot go beyond 50%. With the hung parliament against MPP, if a number of ministers are bogged down in their ministerial duties, who will vote for the government policies in parliament? Is a question one of the texters is asking. Walanyo says it is acceptable. It is acceptable for the president's decision to scrap some of the ministries, and it is my wish that he checks his second-term ministers and the activities to deliver to our expectation. Finally, Ernest says... congratulations to my boss and godmother, Honorable Sarah Josafo. The nominees are all competent with patriotic spirit to move Ghana forward. I'll share more of those messages with you shortly. But you're still listening to Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, doctors treating COVID-19 patients in Ghana say they are worried about the severity of the recent cases on their hands. The number of severe coronavirus cases are on a sharp rise, many in critical condition and needing assistance before they can breathe. Currently, the country's active case count is 2,178 with 358 deaths. My colleague Matilda Gavi visited the East Hospital where COVID-19 patients there are battling for their lives.
Inside the high dependency unit of the East Hospital, very critically ill COVID-19 patients are being attended to. 4 patients are battling for a second chance to live. Every beep from these ventilators speaks volume. Some sick person living on, or a life gradually slipping out of time. Linda, not her real name, is no longer in the ICU. She's recovering from COVID-19 under very strict supervision. Before she tested positive, she was very mindful of adhering to the safety protocols until she let her guard down at a family gathering.
I used to call myself the COVID police until the police caught me. It took it for granted one day.
One day? Where did you go?
No. Just families.
Oh.
Family, yes.
And it happened to you? Grandma Ife stayed away from all public places, stayed home with the family, but got infected.
My grandchildren were for a party, and then after the party they swam. So when they came to me, I think 2 days later, the big granddaughter was having some symptoms. By then I didn't know the symptom, but hers was like a running nose. Then later when I saw that she was getting temperature, so we rushed her to the pharmacy if it's malaria. Then the pharmacist told us that it's not, but he just gave us some first aid. But when we came on the following day, I said, no, let's go to Nogochi. So I think after 4 days, I also started feeling a bit throat itching. But I didn't take it serious. I just went to do my concoction and I drank and it was over. Then 3 days later, this thing will hit me.
Other patients who are now out of danger and recovering from the virus are cautioning the public to adhere to the safety protocols.
The sickness makes you very weak, very, very weak, and it's not comfortable at all. That's what I would say. People should observe the protocols. The disease is here.
Surprisingly, I've been very careful as to how to manage my affairs on this COVID issue. But sometimes you are constrained. You find yourself in a lot of activities you cannot run away from. And so before it rise, Jack, you have it.
A total of 62 COVID-19 patients are receiving care here, but the severity of their condition is a source of concern to health workers. Dr. Evans Mensah is the medical superintendent at the Ga East Hospital.
We think more people are ill now than last year, and the severity of the illness has increased compared to what we were seeing last year. And this can't be due to chance. So if a new variant
what exactly
is
accounting for what we are seeing now?
Well, this coincides with the worldwide pattern of increased severity of COVID-19 across the world. If you look at most countries, UK, Germany, etc., they are more or less closing up now because they have more ill patients on admission. If you listen to international news, and that's exactly what we're experiencing now. And it has been acknowledged that the new variant is in country, including the South African variant as well. And these are known to cause more severe disease. So since we've had quite a few of our compatriots coming over the holidays, we believe that one way or the other, the new variant has found itself into the country and could be contributing to the severity of the disease we are currently seeing. That does not mean the old variant is not there. It's still there. It's still causing illness and disease. But when you compare the severity now to what we had earlier, we believe something has changed.
Well, that is the shocking details of that report filed by Matilda Gavi from the Ga East Hospital. You should watch the actual short feature she did, the video of it. Go to myjoyonline.com, go to our YouTube channel, go to Facebook, watch it on our Joy News channels also, and just come face to face with the face of death, and bear in mind the need to wear face mask, social distance, and keep hygiene top of your priority wherever you go. There's Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM, and time for sports. And Evans Mensah is joining me now with details. And Hans walks in today on the back of that report with the proper face mask and properly socially distanced too. Hello, Hans.
I like my face mask. Hello, Evans. You saw Manchester United last night.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
You're excited?
I was not entirely excited, but I was happy with the win.
Okay, we are going to have that conversation back door, but
you have a new minister designate for the sports ministry.
Yes.
That's Mr. Mustafa Yusuf, Youth and Sports. The previous minister has lost his job, Mrs. Siama. Your take on that?
I mean, Siama always divided opinion. That position, of course, that administrative position, you don't necessarily need to be a through and through sports person to be able to handle that position. There are criticism leveled against him, and key among them being the inability to properly account for that over $6 million that was spent during the AFCON 2019, in Egypt. But I think that, you can also point to certain successes that he's led as well. So, I mean, ultimately, it all comes down to the president and who he feels, is the best fit for that position. And in terms of what he wants to achieve in the next 4 years as well. So, we can only wish him well.
I wonder what else we know about Mustafa Yusuf.
Mustafa Yusuf. I mean, as far as the sports realms in this country goes, he's not somebody who is known. But again, like I mentioned, it's an administrative position. He's going to lead policy. He's going to lead the development drive of sports in this country. I think that he's going to surround himself with people who more or less are technocrats, within the realms of sports. But as far as trying to pinpoint his association with sports in Ghana or anywhere for that matter, he's quite alien, if I can put it that way. But I don't think that, you can judge his competence, based on the fact that he hasn't done any work in relation to sports in this country. I think that he's done works in other administrative capacities and he's done well. We can only wait and see, what he comes up with. But he's moving to a ministry that can be quite explosive, Evans.
Well, it is. Well,
the sports ministry and its issues over the years.
Well, we can't wait to hear what his thinking is and objectives are when it comes before the Appointments Committee. What else do you have in the headlines in sports?
Well, I mean, Galka have held their elections today, and they re-elected their chairman, Kojo Fiano, and he set his sights on solving major challenges of the association in the next 4 years. Kojo Fiano was re-elected for a second term, and he beat the sole competitor Isaac Kumsin with 30 more votes. Galka as an institution has struggled over the years to take a place in calling shots in favor of members when need be. Many have described the association as powerless, and Fiano wants to change that.
If you win any contest, a well-fought contest, what do you do? It's natural that you'll be happy. So I'm happy. But then, whilst being happy, I'm also mindful of the responsibility ahead of me.
You had over 70 votes. What did that trick for you?
Good policy, good message. I concentrated on issues without allowing my attention to be drawn to other things. We have been in football for decades, and we know the message that is acceptable to football people. When you are dealing with football people, you should weigh the message that you carry to them. And I weighed my message to them, and overwhelmingly they accepted my message. And then the program that we all have for Galka.
Oh, that's Kojo Fiano. I guess it's 4 more for Fiano to do more. We'll see. That's your sport.
Hans, thank you very much. So listening to Newsnight, it's on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, 2020 NDC presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama wants hearing of his election petition put on hold. He insists any proceedings while his review of the interrogatory's ruling remains outstanding will result in irreparable harm to his case. Mr. Mahama, who lost the 2020 elections, is seeking to have the results annulled, insisting President Akufo-Addo benefited from vote padding and computational errors. The Apex Court on Wednesday ordered Mr. Mahama's legal team to file witness statements by close of day today. Well, Joy News is learning that order has not been complied with by Mr. Mahama's team as a result of this new application. We'll bring you the latest on this application shortly. But first, listen to Mr. Chikota explain on Wednesday why they had issues with the court's directive.
With the greatest respect, I mean, we are human. I mean, maybe they're superhumans, but we have filed this morning, as of this morning, we have filed an application for review of a ruling that you delivered yesterday. There are consequences to that. We also have outstanding requests to admit facts, which are due within 3 days from when they were served on the other party. There are a number of outstanding issues which have not been discussed.
Mr. Chikota, there's no outstanding issue. The application for review of our ruling yesterday does not operate as a stay of execution.
Well, I did not, with respect,
we are operating on strict timelines under CI 99. And add the notice to admit.
Yes, but my lord, it can affect the issues. In fact, your lordships will recall that yesterday, when we were discussing the filing of the issues, we raised the point that the matter of the interrogatories and the notice to admit facts could affect the issues that we filed. There are some issues that we may not actually require.
Let me bring in my court correspondent, Joseph Akable, on this latest application to the court. He joins us on the telephone line right now. Well, Joseph Blay will join us. The key thing about this latest application, in essence, is the Bahamas lawyers calling on the Supreme Court to put the election petition itself on hold. We'll get details of that. John, go on to myjoyonline.com, where you can find the details of that story there. And that's it for Newsnight tonight. My name is Evans Mensah. Enjoy the rest of your evening.